Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of Get the Flick Out of Here on the Know Your News channel. We are your hosts. My name is Alex Pawlowski, and this is Kate Elizabeth. And we're here to discuss over the course of, I don't know, surely hundreds, thousands of episodes over the course of the next several years. We're going to discuss terrible / weird / bad television shows and movies, and we're going to tell you whether we want to get the flick out of here. I want to get our first thing out of here, but I think Kate actually likes it. Kate, say hi to the people.
Hello, the people. So I do want to, before we start, draw a very important distinction between, I understand that what we're about to talk about is not good. Like, I understand that something is not necessarily good just because I like it and vice versa. There are songs that I feel that way about where I'm like, this is not a good song, but I like it. And here's the thing. You and I watch a lot of wrestling, right?
We do.
Which in some cases can be like mind numbing in a good way. But we have to like pay attention and take notes to it, which is a different type of consuming something. And so I guess my brain just wanted to go somewhere that was like there, you just couldn't analyze it because it's so face value as entertainment. And one night when I was watching the old SmackDown, when it was on Tuesdays, they had a lead-in into Temptation Island, and Alex, admittedly, I was tempted in season 1 of Temptation Island. I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I started watching that, and so I watched it now on delay because it's on Wednesdays, and I'm normally doing AEW things. But now I keep up with Temptation Island, and after Temptation Island, there was a show called The Courtship, which, as you put it, is Castle Bachelor.
Yeah, it's Bachelor in a Castle.
Bachelor in the Castle, for sure.
It's Cashler.
It's the Cashler. I fully acknowledge that it's not good, but it is so ridiculous that I couldn't change the channel, and ergo, I have since made Alex watch it so that we can do it for this show. And we can also talk about Temptation Island, but just because this one was so, in a wrestling term, gimmicky, like I felt like this would be more fun to talk about because Alex, they have to adhere to Regency era rules.
Yes, I guess we should try and probably tell the people what the hell this is. It is Castle Bachelor, Bachelorette.
Yes,
because
Miss Remy.
Miss Remy, Nicole.
Was beautiful.
She's beautiful.
She is.
Nicole, I believe. Listen, let's just. Kate's seen every episode of this crap, and I have watched the first because that's all I could stomach. So I'm trying to give you people a bit of a window into how this whole thing starts. Now, I don't know what castle this is in England. It's a Downton Abbey type estate, but bigger, like this giant thing. And so there are 16 guys from all over the world who supposedly were taking like calligraphy lessons and practicing how to bow and how to waltz and stuff to prepare for this thing so they could win the hand of Miss Remy, who's I'm gonna find true love here, because this is how you find true love, is this
proper courtship.
Proper courtship, because it's better than Tinder. That's like basically what she says is, like, Tinder hasn't been working for me.
Yeah.
So let's do this instead. And right away, when the guys show up, you can tell there's a bunch of them who've not been taking this seriously at all. And like, they just like tell the host, who's Mr. Edwards, who's obviously like a posh comedian type that I've never seen before, who's like, and he's trying to be funny because he's got to keep all this shit together. Whatever. But one of them is like, so have you been studying your Regency? No, not at all. Not at all. No. Okay, great. I hope you got kicked off in the first episode because they actually actively asked you to study this stuff and you didn't. Oh, so they had to write letters to like introduce themselves, and they like sight unseen. She'd never seen them, but she read a letter from them because that's kind of how there was no FaceTime back in the day. So that's how you got it. You couldn't see a picture when you swiped right, but you could read a letter from somebody and swipe right when you threw it in the trash because no, I don't like this guy's penmanship or whatever. But all these guys show up and they're varying degrees of douche. Like, some guys are lesser douches than others. Some guys are douches. Like,
but they all have to be dressed like they are horse jockeys.
Yes.
So it's hilarious.
Yes, they have like the short pants and they're tight with the tights and the little buckle shoes and there's little 3/4 jackets or whatever, and little really tight collars. And one guy is like, I'm super hot, so like I got abs, so I think she's gonna pick me. And I hated that guy from the beginning. I wanted that guy to go very far away because I don't believe he was here for the right reasons.
Oh, look at you trying to protect Miss Remy.
Miss Remy was Miss Remy was obviously a very precious jewel, and she deserves to be protected.
We should also note that her parents are there.
That's also true. Yeah.
And her brother is there, and a friend is there. And though the castle,
her sister's there, and her sister's there, yeah.
And they do enter and exit at various points in the show. But also this castle that has like 18 bedrooms, because it's Regency-style rules, none of the men can stay there. They have to stay in the cottage that is also there. Which you didn't get to this part, but it'll later create chaos because various gentlemen tried to sneak in the bedroom at various points for various reasons. Dun dun dun.
I assume none of them were the right reasons because everybody's only there for the wrong reasons.
No, somebody brought her breakfast in bed. It was really sweet. But then Luke was like, "I'm gonna get it in," and he did. And now, we'll get to Luke. Don't even get me started on
God.
Luke.
I don't even know. Here's the thing about it: all of these guys at the beginning in the pilot episode were so nondescript.
They're so generic.
So generic. And
I was definitely like, they
so many of them do not differ from one another in any way that you just said, Luke, and I have honestly no frigging clue who the heck that person is. Which one is Luke?
Luke had Matthew McConaughey hair, but they all kind of do. This is the problem.
There's one guy who's from South Korea, whose name is Captain Kim, because he's a literal captain in the army. And that's the one guy that I know anything about that I can actually keep track of what his name is because he's a captain. Everyone else is Mr. So when you say Luke, I don't know who Luke is because they never give anybody's first names.
Luke. Well, and here's the other thing. So we'll go through kind of the format of the show, and then I can tell you where we're at in the show.
All right, you tell me where we're at.
But so the two things that you have to do to be successful on the show, in case any fine bachelors out there were like, I want to pursue love in this very weird and specific way, which honestly for Ms. Remy, good for her, because she was like, I could have got on The Bachelor, but I also want to wear ball gowns and like live in a castle. Like, I'm in on it. I get it, Ms. Remy. You have to be vulnerable right away or you're out with Ms. Remy. That's what we learned very early. And good for her, because she's trying to weed through all these guys. She doesn't have time to try and like figure you out. Do we have a connection or do we not? Is it a romantic one or no? Tell me what your deal is. She is not there to waste her time. We love that from Miss Remy. Second of all, it's very hard to get one-on-one time with Miss Remy in all of these episodes.
No, it's true.
So what you're looking for is your individual date, and to get one-on-one time. Sometimes it's handed to you because she will pick you to go do a Regency era activity. But sometimes you got to create opportunities you're not getting, Alex. You got to do things like make her breakfast in bed, even when you're not supposed to be in the castle and you're supposed to be at the cottage,
Here's
or
the
just
thing.
like
No,
pull
no,
her
no,
aside.
no, 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 but I'm sure you'll get into the details of this later. If you're truly not supposed to be in the castle, I have a question of how you're getting A, through security, B, with a tray of breakfast. If you're not supposed to be in the castle, reality show my butt. This is all staged. None of this is real.
I think you might be onto something. And that the rules are perhaps meant to be broken as they were in Regency era. So still very true to the era. The most recent episode, we saw them playing parlor games, which were frisky. It's a whole thing. And then, so instead of eliminations being a rose ceremony, why do that when you can have a last dance with Miss Remy and you, if you're on the chopping block, your name gets put on the dance card and you have to do this like weird waltz kind of thing where you're having a conversation at the same time trying to justify your spot and why you should be there. And if at the end of your incredibly short dance, she doesn't want you there, you get the hook. So while it would seem like, oh, I get to dance with her, no, that's elimination time. And I will say, the eliminations, I feel like, go faster than a lot of reality shows. I don't watch a lot of reality shows. It's mostly just these two and one season of 90 Day Fiancé that my sister and I got way too into because there was a whole romance that happened over two beekeepers who didn't speak the same language. They had to use a translator app, but their connection was built.
So hold on. I want to make sure. Just want to give you this straight. You don't watch a lot of reality TV, except you honestly watch a lot of reality TV.
Just these two. And wrestling, if you consider wrestling.
And one episode of one season of 90 Day Fiancé that involved two beekeepers who could not communicate.
My sister and I, they're just so weird. Like, they're so weird. There were two beekeepers that didn't speak the same language, and they used a translator app, but they couldn't stop talking about bees.
Well, that's what they have in common, Kate.
It's the one thing. But so that was my gateway drug into this, I guess.
All right.
And then, yeah, Temptation Island. And then this was just on after Temptation Island, and I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, why can't I turn the channel? And it's because of the gimmick. These dudes are like out there hanging out, and at one point they were in togas, which is not Regency era. That is like a Greek orgy, and they're like eating grapes. Like, it's just so bizarre. And like with her family there and stuff, it's like it's a hoot. And then there was some outside suitor who came in a few episodes in who had not been there the whole time, but he was like very, very, very proper and like was just basically there to upset the apple cart and throw his name into that.
So a ringer. They brought in a ringer.
They did, and he spoke French, and Miss Remy's dad speaks French.
Well, with a name like Remy, probably.
Yes.
Yeah. So her family and friends got to pick some of the guys that she got time with during the first little promenade crap, and they picked a bunch of guys she didn't like because obviously, like, the mom was like, "Oh, he's a doctor. I want the doctor," and she like said sayonara to the doctor like 20 minutes later, like, "Get the hell out."
Got the hook.
Then she picks one guy to go out on like a romantic alone time date with. Well, everybody, they also, by the way, they have like, I don't know, 50 extras that are just doing a dance during the whole thing. Like a bunch of guys and girls in fancy clothes, just like doing their little palms touching dance thing that they're doing in the background. I don't know what the hell that costs.
So great. Also, we should mention that the host / narrator is like, in Regency times, this is when you would sit down to dinner and you should sit here. Like, they explained Regency era as if anybody's tuning into this. Like, how was it back then?
This is on the History Channel, apparently. No, but the guy that she picked in the pilot episode to go on alone time with, I was like, why this guy? He just seemed so nondescript and just a I don't know, just a dude. And they went out, and he gets like, she picked him, so whatever. But they get to go out and like in the middle of this beautifully lit fountain, they get to sit at this table and eat and drink champagne, and there's a full-on fireworks display, which I don't know if they had specifically during the Regency era. And then they get to share a lovely makeout sesh. And it's like, she says, obviously I'd like to get to know you better. Well, like, yeah, obviously you just stuck your tongue down his throat while there's fireworks going off. Come on. And so he's safe, I guess. And then she picks the 6 guys, and 3 of them, she's like, hey, you, I think you're hot, but you got to do this better. Hey, you, I think you're fun, but you got to show me you're serious. Hey, you. And she's doing this to all these people. And then she kicks the doctor to the curb, and the guy who was all about himself, she kicks him out. And then some guy who was just seemed to be really sweet, and I don't understand why she kicked him out. Like, he was like, I'm really sorry. And she's crying. I'm really sorry, but we don't have a connection. You have to go. Just go, please, before I change my mind. I'm like, why do you not want him here? Because the guy that she kept was, hey, so I got this long blonde hair and I got abs. And she kept that dude. And I'm like, I want that dude to die in a fire. I hate that guy. Anytime you watch one of these shows, you got to have one of the contestants that you root for and one of the contestants that you hate and want them to go home. And I know this because the girl that I dated all through grad school, she was into all this kind of crap and made me watch it. And things did not end well between us. So I have really bad memories of watching these kinds of episodes. But I do know that for a fact. So I picked the guy that I hated, which was Fabio. Don't like that guy. And then I like whatever just the regular dude was, the nice guy. Just this, it was a regular dude, and I liked him. Like, he seemed like a regular dude. Like, he's totally nondescript as well, but he's had a very everyman quality about him, especially all these friggin' hair models that were there, like with this friggin' swoops and like crazy coiffs, and like, he's just a regular dude. I'm rooting for that guy. Again, they did a really bad job of telling you who the hell any of these people were, because they did not tell you his name, so I have no idea. All I know is Captain Kim. But at the end, she keeps Fabio, she gets rid of the doctor, and that's it. And I don't know what happened after that, Kate. So please tell me, and then I will pretend to be shocked about all the goings on in this terrible reality show.
So your boy Captain Kim was on the dance card, but Ms. Remy really liked him. But he sent himself home because Luke, who went into Ms. Remy's bedroom and some things happened, he did not stay in the cottage with the rest of the fellas that night. So the rest of the fellas put 2 and 2 together that he was with Miss Remy for the night. And Captain Kim said, my heart is too into it. I can't take this. This isn't for me. And sent himself home, which, respectable. But 2 things about that. He did it on the dance floor. And Ms. Remy was like, oh my God, did this guy just go and tell everybody that we spent the night together, which was not the case. And 2, it's kind of like, well, Captain Kim, it's a dating show. Like, did you not think he was like, she already has so much of my heart, and I don't know, like, if how much of hers I have or whatever. And I'm like, but it's a dating show. Like, you knew she was going to be dating other people.
Well, in Regency times, you could have called for your carriage and gone back to wherever the hell you were from, South London or Wales or whatever the hell, whenever you wanted, but oh, my beloved, her heart belongs to another, and I must take my leave, madam. You could do that whenever back in Regency times.
But so like, my thing is, like,
just playing the game.
You know what you signed up for. You know what I mean?
Also, pretty sure you couldn't do this in Regency times. Sneak into the lady's bedroom and have a quickie.
Well,
couldn't do that.
Speaking of things that you could never do in Regency times that happened on the show, this past week, there was this guy that I think most people didn't really like because he just wasn't didn't seem like he was trying to adhere to the
He
Regency.
wasn't there for the right reasons.
No, he just was like, "Oh,
No,
I can't. I'm so informal."
That's just code for I don't like this person. Is that they're not there for the right reasons. It's just code.
Yes, but she's kept him around and she's keeping him around. He told her that he is gender fluid, and I was like, I'm pretty sure you would die in Regency times for that. But it was a really nice conversation that they had. And then they made out a bunch after it. So she was clearly okay with it.
She's a tonsil whore. That's what she is. She
How
just
dare you?
No, I'm
sir.
sorry. I'm sorry. No, just that was that I'm pretty sure frowned upon in Regency times. There were so many different kinds of plague that you could get from making out with a bunch of dudes back to back. They didn't do that back then.
The season ends, and Miss Remy died of a plague.
She died of the plague.
We were filming during COVID, and this is an unfortunate thing, but we still chose to air it. But yeah, so that was interesting. I don't think I've seen that on a dating show. I've seen people who are bisexual, but I don't think I've seen people come out to someone on a dating show. No. That was very interesting. Again, I only watched 2 of them, so I don't have like a full grasp on the world. But yeah, so that happened. We found out Miss Remy's mom is like quite the shock because they had to go like clay shooting. But the guy I was rooting for is going home. And the guy who she slept with and spent the night with, I think is going home next week. And I think he's sending himself home because she really liked him. But he doesn't want to, for some reason, propose at the end of all of this. He thinks that would be too soon, perhaps, and maybe like an ill-informed decision.
You think?
Yeah, which is so weird. And but also, again, I keep going back to like, you know what the show is. You know what I mean? Like, that's the show.
Right. No, I mean, I think also you know what the show is, and then you don't, because like you show up and like, okay, here's your costume. And also here's this British guy who's going to make fun of you all the time in narrative form, and like, you know what the show is if you're going on The Bachelor. You don't know what the show is if you're going on this show because nobody's ever seen this show before. And maybe you're like,
but you know you have to propose at the end. Like, that's
right.
The whole thing.
That's true. I get that. But like, perhaps if you met your future bride on a show that exists within the bounds of this time and place, it's different than if you met your future bride there, because like maybe you have to adhere to the rules of the Regency era here in this thing, but probably you don't elsewhere. And maybe you would wonder if you would get along in, 2022 as opposed to 150 years prior.
If you were like if it was more like, hey, do you want Chipotle for dinner? Yeah.
As opposed to like Pip, bring the roast duck. It's that's not something I can provide for you.
Yeah. In the real world. Or the modern world, I should say.
Yes.
Yeah, I will say I find Miss Remy's directness very nice in this show. She's just like, she's mowing through them, man. Like, she doesn't have a lot of uncertainty. She definitely feels bad when she sends people home, but she's kind of just like, she's like women who are trying to date today. She's like, tell me your story. Like, what's your baggage? Let me know, and we'll see if we can match up with my baggage. Because this is a numbers game. I'm trying to find if one of you doesn't suck enough to lock up with for a while. If my dad likes you, we're getting it all out of the way with now. So I appreciate that, because she's not like cute about some stuff. She's just like, why did you live with another woman? Tell me the story. Like, bang. Like, she is direct, and I appreciate that about Miss Remy. She definitely feels like she has an East Coast vibe to her. I'll put it that way.
Right.
This was not like an LA casting situation. She's just like, look, I'm going to dance with you. You're going to plead for me right now.
And that I watched that one episode, and a couple of them on the dance floor were like, "Please, please, please don't send me away. Please, I have to be here with you." And it's like, listen, like you got to have the amount of self-respect to know, like, listen, I'm here. I think you're beautiful. You're probably a very lovely person. We don't know each other yet. I'd love to get to know you, but if you send me away right now, yeah, it's kind of something that kind of signed up for. I'm not going to grovel to you on the dance floor so I can get more time on TV. Like, it's some weird stuff. And the people who were like the poor sweet dude who was like really nice to her on the dance floor and never got a chance to talk to her. Because I remember that guy was talking to her on the little mingle session. Because there's a mingle session where they walk through and all introduce themselves or whatever. And he was talking to her for about 12 seconds when one of the other dudes walked up and was like, "Excuse me, I'm going to take her." And he never got the chance to talk to her. And I feel like that shouldn't be allowed. I feel like that's a thing that she has to have a certain amount of time with everybody minimum before she's allowed to make any decisions. That was not allowed. That guy was like, he was just talking, just being nice. And then someone's like, "Excuse me, playa, I'm going to take this." And like, I don't feel like that guy's that. What am I watching here? Am I watching what the
trash?
Hell? Yeah, no, but there was what the hell was this? There was an episode of a guy I went to college with was on this show. It was it was the Pickup Artist. Did you ever watch the Pickup Artist?
Oh no, but somebody told me about this show. Yes.
Yeah, a guy I went to college with was on that show and lasted to like the very end. But like, yeah, like it was Joe. Joe is his name. Good dude. Did not belong. Should not have been on this show. But like, nobody should have been on that show. That dude's a total creep. The Pickup Artist guy, total creep. I only watched it because my friend was on it, and I got really invested. And I was like, all of these, basically, you're just using like weirdo Jedi mind tricks to seduce women, having no interest in actually knowing who they are as a person. It's just as a means to an end. Yeah. And it was like, and this is the way you should all be. It was the message of that show. No.
Hard pass.
No.
Hard pass. Well, this one, people do get kind of pathetic pretty quickly, but I have noticed on this show and on Temptation Island, Temptation Island's hilarious because there's so many people that just want to break up with their significant other that are like, I'm going to go do that around a bunch of hot single people in the Caribbean. But the things that they manufacture as connections there are just like, oh my God, I love cereal and he loves cereal. I've never met someone who likes cereal as much as I do. We had just such a strong connection.
Is this a thing that you are making up, or is this a thing from the actual show?
That's something I made up, but that's
okay.
It's extremely basic.
The fact that I had to stop and ask
perfect
is enough to like, because the whatever connections these people make up on these shows, the Temptation Island, it is that and your fandom of the New York Yankees are the only things about you that I cannot understand.
I get
how
that
you can watch Temptation Island. God,
does it help you to know I hate myself at the end of every episode?
I mean, yes, it slightly helped. But that's just the lowest form of schlock entertainment.
I think that's why. Like, I think I just can't. First of all, like you were saying, like not here for the right reasons. Like all the code words that they use is so like it's like the human experiment of what they're doing to themselves that I just like got so glued to. And you're right, there's like a heel and a face. There's like a bad guy who you hate, and there's a good guy. And like I have to see the comeuppance for the bad guy every time, which usually happens at the bonfire at the end. But yeah,
so
that show was
like I don't know enough about Temptation Island. Listen, I don't want to know anything about it. The bonfire reminds me of like Survivor or whatever.
It is,
Did they vote somebody out?
They don't. So bonfires, it's so stupid. This is why I can't turn away. They show you an isolated clip of what your partner is doing on the other side. Sometimes it's a threesome. Sometimes it's a conversation of that person's having. Sometimes it's something that's benign in context but looks terrible out of context, and they're like fucking with the whole thing. But at the end of the show, also that show's amazing because the host is not a certified therapist, but definitely acts like one. Definitely acts like one. And then at the end, they have to decide, are they leaving the island alone with someone that they met or with their significant other? Usually there's a couple that gets engaged. There's a couple where you want to shake the girl because they get back together, and then you find out 3 months later that they broke up. And then there's like a nice array of other men and women there. That show, like those code words of like, we just had a connection. It's like, no, you just wanted to have sex with that person. Like,
has there ever been a season where the show ended and a throuple has emerged and they left as a throuple? Because you were saying like sometimes they'll show a clip and it's a threesome, and sometimes which means that happens too often for there not to be a theme going on. And I want like two girls and a guy or two guys and a girl or whatever to just decide, you know what, this is what we want with our lives, and we're all together now. Because I would love nothing better than for three people to come there thinking everything's going to be great. We're going to test our love, and three of them at the end will be looking at each other like, so I guess all three of us got screwed because the three of them screwed. Like, that's
well, so the guys and the girls are in their separate villas. What usually happens when somebody has a threesome is the two other people get mad at each other, and then one of them gets sent home because they do kick people off the island. I don't know if it's every week or every couple weeks. So usually there'll be like a threesome. Someone will get devastated because they will have seen that, and that couple usually, I feel like, Zats is out. But with the like two people, because it's this weird competitive dating thing, like one of them gets sent home. But the worst part of Temptation Island, and the part that makes me like actually hate myself, is like there are clearly couples that go in with the most ambiguous idea of like what their rules are with each other on each side of the island. Like, it's so they're like, well, they didn't say I couldn't fuck them or whatever. Like, it's so bad. It's so bad. And like, not to be gender stereotypical.
I think we were fairly clear. I mean, I'm pretty sure like they said that like oral was okay.
Literally, it's like, what base are you allowed to go to, bro? Like, it's so bad. And they'll just be like, well, we're on the island, we're single. And then like for some people, their interpretation of that is, I'm single, but I'm not looking for anyone else. And other people are like, that means I can sleep with whoever I want. Yeah. And they never had a conversation.
While we're here, we're single. So while we're here, I'm single, but I'm just going to try and work on myself while I'm single. And while we're here, you're single, which means you're going to work into other people. And that's just in and out. That's not great. Yes. So when one person gets sent home, the couple is kicked off the island. Because is that what happens? Because somebody like
no, it's like the temptees. Like, so at the guy's villa, all the girls that they're with, like they'll send some home that aren't forming connections with any of the guys, and then in the girls' villa, there are guys that are there to tempt them.
Right, because it's not just like you're not like doing like swinging with each other's partners. There's like people who are just there to like tempt. They're not there
to like help you along emotionally too. Like, that's the greatest facade of it all. Of like, I am here to help you figure out clarity around your relationship, and I happen to be doing it in this G-string bikini with caramel on my ass from our party.
Right. Like, I am here to help you work through any issues you might have.
Well, you work through me.
I am also here to give you gonorrhea. So
Yeah, basically.
just a
And then,
little light STDing. That's basically what we're gonna do.
and so with this season, there's a couple that like they're just 20 and 21 or whatever. Like they're just too young. And I
No,
know it's like
no.
that's really, but it's like kind of it's reversed from how you think it would be, where she was like, I outgrew this, and he's like such a sap. And like
Oh, sure.
once she moved on, which took 27 seconds, like he was like writing a new girl poetry immediately. Like you're just like, oh no, this poor kid in 6 years from now is gonna be like, what the fuck was I doing on national television? Like like that one is rough because you're like, oh, you're just too dumb. Like at least the adults that are like grown-ups are making this poor decision and aware of their life. Like these two poor kids, like they were 20 and they were each other's first loves and they thought they were going to marry each other because every 20-year-old does. And then when you're in your late 20s, you look back on who you were dating. I feel like for a lot of people, and are like, thank God I didn't marry that guy in a lot of situations. My situation, certainly, at least. And this girl just outgrew it and didn't want to admit it, but immediately admitted it when they got there. And it hurts to love her. Like, just immediately filling the void with this other girl, Marissa, who's already on this pedestal for him. I'm just like, you should not be allowed to be on the show if you're under 25 years old. Because, like, you just are going to be so sad when you've just grown up a little bit.
Yeah. No. Is this like, so they're, I don't know. This episode of the show has become less about courtship and more about temptation Island. But it is the window into your soul that I think we're actually trying to get here.
Let's cut this off immediately.
Because I need to know. No. I will give a peek into what I think was the greatest reality TV experience that I ever had watching it, which just goes back almost 20 years, I think. Have you ever heard of the show Joe Schmo?
Yeah, but I don't remember what it is or what.
It was a real life Truman Show. They picked a random dude named Joe. I don't know if they had the title of the show, Joe Schmo, and then had to go out and find a dude named Joe so they could put him on the show. But they put him in a house. It was like a real world type thing with a bunch of random strangers. And all of the other people in the house were actors. All of them. He was the only one who wasn't in on it. Like they would show you the actors meeting with the directors and the writers and getting their scenes to play with Joe during the next day. Like there was the guy who was the best friend who immediately like gravitated to him, like knew everything that Joe was into and found things in common with him and was able to like basically be like his confidant through the whole thing. That dude. Then there was the guy. Then was the girl that Joe was supposed to get sweet on because she was nice and kind of like the girl next door type or whatever. And then there was the guy who was really like, who wanted totally to bang that girl. And so didn't like Joe, but she was like, I don't know. Should I hook up with him, Joe? What do you think? And Joe's like, no, I mean, maybe you and I should just spend some time together. And he was just the sweetest dude. And I hated myself for watching it because I was like, but I had to know how this was going to happen. And like, and all these people had such like obvious archetypes of reality TV show, like real world type characters. There was the crazy guy. There was the girl who was just a bitch to everybody. Like all these obvious like things. And there was a huge blow up between certain people. And one of them stormed off and like left the show, but it was all an act. And like that was designed to further the bond between Joe and the other person or whatever that stayed as opposed to the person that left. And it worked. Like they were actual psychologists who were saying, okay, this is how we're going to create this bond between him, because it was almost like a horrible frigging experiment of how can we fuck with this guy the absolute most. And then there was the reveal episode where they sat him down and said, okay, this has been real for you and it's fake for everybody else. And it broke Joe's brain. And he couldn't get it. And he was so hurt and so pissed and just and crying. And some of the actors were like, well, what the fuck? This is a gig. And the girl who was supposed to be like, you know, his girlfriend on the show, even though they had never actually done anything, but like was supposed to be leading him on in the way that like they're going to start dating when they left the show or everything, felt really, really bad about it. But also she was engaged off the show. Like it was just I'm pretty sure that's what happened, if I remember correctly. Again, this is 20 years ago. And so that, like, she felt really bad about heartbreaking him. But like there are different ones that during the show are like, so wait, you want me to do what? Like, this is really cruel. Why would I do, like, because it's the show. And people like people who like refuse to do certain things. Like, I think one person was legit fired for not doing the thing. And then they had to like come up with a reason why that person wasn't there the next morning when Joe woke up. Like, if I'm remembering correctly, this is what happened. It was the most crazy thing. And they got, like, they could never do another season of it because nobody would ever believe anything was real anymore. Like, I was watching it thinking, like,
if are all the people in my life real?
No, I wasn't doing that. I wasn't doing that.
I would.
But what I was saying was, this could end reality television. Because anytime you went on a show, you would be like, wait a minute, what's going on? Is this real? What's going on? And it would, like, nobody would believe anything they were on was like, who's this person, whatever. And so I was secretly hoping that it was end reality television. So that's why I watched it, because I wanted to see reality television crash and burn because I hated it so much. But I still couldn't stop watching these episodes. And the only way I was able to see it was they did the Saturday before the finale. It was on Spike TV, and they ran a marathon of it. And I caught like 10 minutes into the first episode and just sat there all damn day binging. But before Netflix, where you couldn't binge, they had to wait until they actually put them all back to back. And I watched them and I couldn't wait. And then the following, whatever it was the big finale. And like, I had to tune in and watch. It was like appointment TV to see what happened. And I hated myself so much by the end because Joe was just destroyed by it.
Of course.
And
that guy's never going to be able to trust anyone again.
And I was like, once you saw how bad he took it, maybe like you're not allowed to air the episodes. Maybe you should just like if he had like jumped off the roof, would you have like, oh well, he did it and we filmed the whole thing. The science experiment went wrong. He killed himself. Put it on TV.
Yeah.
So so there you go. So there's your guilty thing is watching everybody have thruples and threesomes, and my thing was watching a man's life be destroyed. So I think I'm worse than you.
I feel like it's the same thing though. Like that same component is there, which is probably all of reality television of just like, but I guess with Temptation Island, it's like I'm just so fascinated by how obvious it is that how much people just will do anything. They will go to the Caribbean and pretend they're on a path of self-exploration before they'll just admit they want to break up with their partner. Like, there are some people who the second they get there are just out. Like,
men will go to the Caribbean and sleep with 7 different women and then try to get back with their partner before they get sent home at a bonfire before they'll go to therapy. I mean, seriously.
It's bananas. And then there are people where I'm like, I think you do want to be working on yourself. I just find it hilarious that you thought this was like the environment to have most.
Yeah, this is not how to do that, though.
Yeah, it's bananas. But the courtship, I feel less bad. That's probably why I watched it. I was
bring
probably
it back
like
to the original thing.
I'm like
talking about.
Well, because they're on back to back, though. I think that's like by design. Is like you don't feel as cringy watching that one because it's just so the environment's so
a nice
stupid,
little palate cleanser,
like progressive. I'm wondering, like, does it work if they're on in reverse order? I don't think it does. I think that one feels like a weird relief on the other side.
Even though I do think that Temptation Island should air several hours later at night than Let's All Bow to Each Other, Downton Abbey style. Like that one should you should only have to get to watch Temptation Island during the wee hours of the morning when when no one else can see your shame.
That you know what? That's a fair point.
So wait, who's left on Courtship? Because I'm gonna see if I can I'm gonna look up the names you're giving me to see if I could pick out who I thought was gonna be. How many episodes are left? Like how many guys are left?
I think there's only like 6 left.
And there were 16 to start with.
Yeah. So she sends them home. Hardy. I know Luke is still left because he's going home soon. The guy who was the ringer is still there, but I don't remember anyone's name because they're all pretty forgettable. There was this really sweet guy. I also find their like version of representation hilarious because there's just like one of certain like there was one black guy, there was one Asian guy, and then mostly a bunch of really mediocre white guys.
Yeah.
But there was this guy Jaquan who really loved her, but she didn't feel the spark, and I thought that was her guy. So who is left?
Jaquan. I wish they never told you their friggin' names in the first episode.
I know.
So really I can't even. Okay, wait, hold on. Cass. Oh, did they? Okay, here we go. All right. So Daniel, is he still around?
I would need to be looking at.
There you go. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna send you the same link that I'm looking at right now, and I'm gonna send it to you, and then you're also gonna click on it, and we're gonna go through all these names of all because nobody knows who the hell these people are, and then we're gonna tell you who these people are. Okay. So did you get the thing I sent you? Did you get that thing I sent you?
Where did you send it? In the private chat?
No, on Twitter. That's how we all communicate. That's how we communicate. That's what we do. Who the hell is? I still don't know who that is.
Okay.
So these are the people I'm looking at. Daniel, Giuseppe, Lincoln, Christian, Lewis, who I know left on the first night, Jaquan, Dan, Derek, Captain Kim, Achilles, Chan, Charlie, Fabio, Dr. Shanzer, who I know got sent home, Nate, and Caleb, who got sent home. I don't see a Luke here. Which one's Luke?
Where is Luke? Do I have the wrong name?
I love the idea.
That would be so like classic. It might be. It's Lincoln. Okay, Lincoln is there right now, but I think he voluntarily goes home next week. Christian is still there.
That guy with his hair and his jawline. That guy.
Patrick Dempsey wannabe guy.
Yeah, that guy. Okay, so Daniel, is he still around?
Daniel, no, he just got sent home this week, I think.
But he was the first dude who got the fireworks makeout sesh.
He is. Well, he lasted until the Elite
I
Eight.
mean, like, come on. No. Okay.
I don't even know. That's how, like, not.
Yeah. Giuseppe. Giuseppe can't still be there.
Giuseppe's gone.
Yeah. I know Lewis is gone. Now, Christian Lee Cones.
Christian is the one who is gender fluid. I would never have thought that.
Wow, really? That's the everyman dude that I was talking about. The guy I was this guy.
He's kind of the guy who was like, I cut off her dad's toast, and I don't really know how to handle this. But he's very sweet, and
that was not an episode that I saw. I have no idea what I thought. Like, it took me a second to recognize the context of what you were saying and to realize that there's no way that you could have possibly said what I heard, which was, I cut off her dad's toes. Toast is what my brain took 6 seconds to realize what you said. And even then, I have no context.
I mean, that would also be improper etiquette, I believe.
Yeah. The Christian, it was the guy who seemed like he was kind of down to earth and just a regular dude, which is kind of funny that he wound up being gender fluid, like in a weird way. Okay, that's cool. Dan with his friggin' hair. A lot of these guys have friggin' hair. Like, I look at them and like, yeah, you with your friggin' hair.
I think they're trying to fit into the like proper Regency situation.
I mean, wouldn't that be like powdered wigs and stuff?
Probably, but I would think Miss Remy would find that very unattractive.
But it's not. Then it's not real Regency rules. Okay, so is Dan around still?
Is Dan around still? Dan, I think, is still around. Yes.
Derek.
God, they're all
so generic.
They're all so generic.
I swear to God, Derek is just Dan with a bit of a goatee. Like,
truly,
they're looking. I'm looking at them together, like next to each other. That's basically all they got.
Alex, you know when you go to the eye doctor and they're like, better here or better here?
That's what these guys are.
That's what this is.
There's Captain Kim. We already talked about him's gone. Achilles, Alex King. Achilles, is he still there?
Nah, he got the hook, I think.
Okay, Chandler Lux, the guy.
Oh, wait. I think Dan is still there, and it's Charlie who went home. Yes.
Mr. Charlie Mumbray, who's actually from London.
Yeah, he got the boot.
See, he should have had a leg up from the area.
He did.
Yeah.
But he got booted off when the other Brit came in.
Oh.
The ringer that came in. The competition.
She was like, oh, see, now I thought you were all cultured because you're British, but you're just regular old like South London Brit. This is the real culture. That's what I like. So wait. So please tell me, Mr. Safa Fabio is gone.
Yeah, I think he went home last week, if I remember right.
He stuck around too long. That dude, that guy.
I also could be extremely wrong about all of this, but I'm pretty sure.
Doctor, that guy got sent home, and I love that he left. Like, you're making a terrible mistake, and he left, which felt very Regency to me. That felt very Regency. Like, I have proposed to you, and you have denied me. You're making a terrible mistake. You've made a very powerful enemy this day. Very powerful indeed. And then he leaves.
I did. He was fully into the gimmick.
Yeah. Mr. Nate, is he still around?
I don't think anybody of color is left.
Which is interesting.
It is. We should say Ms. Remy is of color too. I think she's black.
We should say she's black. But I'm fairly sure because these dudes had no idea who she was when they showed up.
Right.
So she walks in for the first big reveal, and she's black. And I'm fairly certain I saw Jaquan say to Chandler Lux, who's also black, "Hey, I think we just won." like because there's a certain thing among, let's just be honest. And like, okay, hey, we win. No, apparently not. Apparently
No.
that's not a thing for her, which good for her or whatever. It's just an interesting idea. But yeah, and then Mr. Caleb, who was all about himself, so about himself.
Correct. He went home week
Yeah,
one.
he's gone. I just love the idea of her family have like her dad like, oh yes, I'm a lord now. Like he just like looks so he's just trying to be such a, oh my god, what a ridiculous thing this is.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid in the most delightful way. It's someone who isn't on the cast page. I was wrong. So someone who's not even on this cast page is the Ringer guy. His name is Mr. Nazaire. And
Mr.
he showed
Nazaire?
up. Mm-hmm. And he had a British accent and he spoke French and he gave a toast in French. Won Mr. Remy's heart over. So
yep.
There you go.
There you go. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. You butter up the dad.
You fancy the dad.
You butter up the dad, and there you go. That's it.
It's true.
Well, I think we're winding down on our first episode.
I know.
Okay. I'm gonna listen. I just decided, spur of the moment. We never actually talked about this, but I've decided. The end of every episode, we each vote whether we want to get the flick out of here.
Ooh.
And I say, get the flick out of here with this crap.
I say, for me, it stays. For humanity, it should go. Like, personally, I'm going to continue watching it.
How wonderfully unselfish of you.
Thank you.
For the good of humanity, for the greater good, this show should be canceled and all tape should be burned. Yeah. But I would like to see it stay, is what you say.
Yeah. And the Courtship, less so than Temptation Island shouldn't be a thing. That's true.
Should not be a thing. So yeah, that's our first episode. Who knows what the next episodes will bring?
Not even us.
Not even us. Literally, not even us. But I'm sure we'll venture back and forth from movies and television, different genres.
Except horror. We'll never do horror because I can't.
Because you can't. Because you're a wuss.
Correct.
Like I had to experience my horror, which is watching reality television. It seems like it's only fair that eventually but whatever. Yeah, because there's some really wonderful, terrible, weird horror that I acknowledge is bad and is schlock, that I love, and I will never ever vote for get the flick out of here. So I would want we need to have that. Got to have a thumbs up and a thumbs down. See, the thing about Siskel and Ebert is it only worked because every episode there was one where it was this. You got to have this, because if you have too many of these and too many of these, it's not fun. You gotta get that. You gotta do this. So we got to figure out ways of being on either side of this thing, because I think you and I agree on too many things, Kate.
It's true.
I think we do. I think we're in lockstep. We're basically we think with the same brain, and that's bad.
But not with reality TV.
Not with reality TV. So yes, if you like these shenanigans, there'll be more of these on the Know Your News channel. If you like them even more and want to see us talk about professional wrestling for some reason, and let's be honest, most of you who are watching this probably migrated over from there to hear us discuss something that doesn't involve I was going to say sweaty men and horniness, but that's basically what NXT is now. Yeah. That's what we do. We talk about NXT on Tuesdays on the Fightful YouTube channel. That's a lot of fun. There's also over on Fightful Select. We'll talk about other things as well. But I think this first episode was a success.
I think so too.
And hopefully there are, as we said, thousands of episodes more, because we get paid for them. So that's an important distinction: is that we are not doing these I don't know why I said that. I
You're like, I don't want anybody thinking I
No.
watched reality television
No.
for free.
I would never. And many of the things that we will be watching on here, I will only watch if I am being paid to. That's basically what it's working out with current state of WWE wrestling. Is I only watch because I'm getting paid to. I want to extend that to this show as well. Thanks all of you for tuning in. You can follow me on the Twitter at Alex Sourgraps, and you can follow Kate
At Miss Kate Fabe on Twitter.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And remember, if you're watching anything that you don't like, that you think is really bad, you will probably find a way for you guys to suggest it to us.
Yes.
So that we can subject ourselves to the horribleness of it, and then we can tell you whether we will tell it to get the
flick
fuck
out
of here.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I click the subscribe button. You really should too. If you like videos about real news stories that are funny, stupid, or weird, subscribe now.